So put on your tinfoil hats, get those massive spoons of salt ready. The Bild have got a really interesting article about the whole Red Bull situation. I believe it's a German newspaper. I don't know how much credence it has, which is why this is mainly only rumours. So if you're not interested, stop now. But some of it does make for some interesting reading. I mean, it's first of all, it says the Red Bull sex case, as you can see there in big red in red writing. Next, it says if Matterschitz were alive, Horner would have been fired long ago. Apparently, the British boss is grabbing power in the company. I mean, let's get into this article. How crazy it is, I don't know. Maybe only time will tell. Maybe only time. This is by Helmet. This is dated, well, at the time of recording now, just about hit midnight. So this is dated yesterday by Helmet Ull and Michael Milwelski. And it says, when power eats through mind, albeit this is through Google Translate, a global brand can collapse. Well, they're right about Red Bull being a global brand, but it starts off by saying 1.5 years after the death of Dietrich, the world-famous effervescent company Red Bull is facing its greatest test, triggered by a power struggle in the Formula One team. I mean, if that's not the beginning of a movie trailer, I don't know what is. So, 4-time world champion Vettel, most recent 3-time champion Verstappen, suddenly new headlines next to track, dominate the team every day and take the entire brand with them. Okay. So we've got the dominating Red Bull, triggered by what we call oversteer by Team Loss 50. Okay, moving on. So the Brit, who has been married to ex-Spice Girl Joey Hannawell since 2015, moved ever closer to the majority shareholder, the owner of Red Bull. That's the majority, 51%. Ty Shalem Udiva, Uidia, sorry, 73 years old. Now, during Master Smith's illness, where unfortunately he had cancer, absolutely horrendous, he holds 51% of the company's shares. Master Smith only had a slightly smaller 49% stake, and now his heirs do. Now, the Austrian had all personal decisions written into the contract, so despite having them less of the majority, but only just, for all intents and purposes, it appeared that he was the boss. However, that changed on the 22nd of October 2022, the article was saying, when he passed away. Udiva, though, had been silent due to the contract and ever-increasing profits, is now exercising his power and has allied himself with Horner, and the games began. What we do know is it does appear that him and Horner have allied themselves together. Horner wanted They wanted to get rid, allegedly, spoons of salt, tinfoil hats. He wanted to get rid of Helmut Marko, the man who built the Formula One team with Master Smith, one of the men who built the Formula One team with Dietrich. The man who had saved Horner from expulsion several times, apparently, here. Dietrich wasn't a friend of his team boss, so apparently he wasn't a massive fan of Christian Horner. He wasn't part of the yearly Christian Horner fan club, but he let him have his way, supposedly, because Christian Horner, whether you like him or not, what we can say, he is a very successful team boss in terms of that team has done gangbusters since 2005, since he took over it. And it says the advanced partnership talked with Porsche. And I thought this was quite interesting. So the advanced partnership talked with Porsche in September 22 ultimately failed. And this was, once again, tinfoil hat, allegedly due to the veto of a Christian Horner, who did not agree with a 50% partnership on equal footing and only wanted Porsche to be an engine supplier. So the reason Porsche were like no, supposedly, was they wanted to be even. They wanted 50%, which is even more than I think Mercedes did when they went with McLaren. I think they owned maybe a 40% stake in McLaren. I could be wrong, but it was fairly significant, but not enough to have the controlling power. Porsche wanted it on equal footing, and apparently this annoyed the Red Bull team boss, as in Horner, they're claiming. But not Horner. This annoyed the Red Bull boss. I think they're talking about Dietrich, but he was so weakened by his illness, he could no longer intervene. And then 4 weeks later, Dietrich sadly passed away. So 4 weeks after the failure with the Porsche deal, Dietrich sadly passed away. But it says here, he was quite annoyed about that. All insiders agree on one thing. If he were still here today, Horner would have been fired by now. But Dietrich's death immediately shifted the balance of power. The problem is, when they say insiders, I don't know. They're not. Who are they quoting here? That I don't know. And it says the new royal copper, Horner Udiva, came to life. Yeah, the translate, I guess, is a bit iffy. But it said Horner initially wanted shares in the Red Bull Racing team, similar to Toto. I can understand that. He's been there since 2005. I mean, it's now 20 years. But that failed. However, he secured the marketing rights from the sister team AlphaTauri. The Brit wanted and wants more. I mean, it really is painting him to be this Disney villain. He's already the CEO of Red Bull Racing, but as we hear from close circles, I don't know what circles they are though, he seems to have his sights set on the position of CEO of Red Bull GmbH. So that's obviously higher, that's a more senior position than he is now. And it says, so the positions that RB former CEO Oliver Mintzlaff and sales boss and finance boss currently occupy, or at least one. So one above him. And it said, of course, Horner needs the now powerful tie and seems to make him believe that you don't necessarily need a high flyer, Verstappen, or a design genius guru like Adrian Newey for sporting success. I mean, Horner emphasised with this sentence, they're saying, it's like everything in life, you can't force someone to be somewhere just because there's a piece of paper. I get it. Interestingly, Horner said no one is bigger than the team. Obviously, including him, even though this whole thing centres around him. So you could make an argument. Maybe, you should just step back a bit until this all blows over. However, if someone was completely innocent, you'd be like, no, absolutely, why should I? I've done nothing wrong. I'm staying here. I can understand both sides of that. And yes, I may have splinters on my bottom for sitting on the fence. So it goes on saying the talks between design champion Newey, 25 world titles, it says here, and Ferrari appear to be well advanced, which is interesting. These are rumours. Once again, it's not citing anyone in particular. Adrian Newey hasn't really come out himself, I think, in an interview, but it's been suggested that Adrian Newey is very happy where he is. So I'm not sure where they're getting this information. However, Lewis Hamilton appeared to be very happy where he was in December, and then look what happened. He signed with Ferrari. It's F1. You never know. He repeatedly said he would like to work with Lewis and Ferrari again before he retires. That's Adrian Newey. I get it. And it says here Verstappen also doesn't seem to have a problem with the cockpit change. The Mercedes star flashes. The issue is I can't see Verstappen at the moment going to another team. He is guaranteed this year's title and more realistically next year's title. 2026, maybe if he knows more than us, if he's thinking this is a Verstappen here, oh my gosh, the new engine for Red Bull is going to be disastrous. Maybe then he'll be leaving at the end of 2025. I could almost see that, but I can't see him leaving at the end of this year. And it said if Verstappen were to lose, Horner would already have a successor in sight with Alexander Albon. The issue with that, a Thai is world champion, as we know. He races, I think, under a Thai license, and that would please the Thai majority owner. That would Alexander Albon. Could he go there? I mean, if Red Bull came knocking, he would not say no. Do you want to drive one of the best cars? Absolutely. I know he's building things with Williams, but say, for example, if Verstappen, as this article suggests, were to go sooner rather than later, say he were to go at the end of the year, then I completely understand why Alexander Albon would be like, yep, that's it. Almost a guaranteed 2025 World Championship. Yeah, Tom, especially since it is foreseeable that Red Bull will also be superior next season, as major changes to the car are not allowed until 2026. Well, that's not quite true. They can have major changes to the car, but what the teams are doing are saving it. And then it goes, Horner could be without Newey, Verstappen, and also without an engine. The CEO of Ford is demanding a complete, transparent explanation. Yes, but then Ford have gone through with the Red Bull Academy and have been in fully support of them more recent than the CEO of Ford coming out. However, that's not to say that Ford are unhappy. They may well be behind the scenes. We could even see another press release anytime soon. Who knows? And maybe they're waiting for the appeal and this thing to blow over or find out what happens. Now, said the latter in turn has now lodged a complaint with the FIA Ethics Committee after internal Red Bull investigation. This is the employee acquitted Horner, and it also emerged that the American supermarket giant Walmart is considering removing the energy drinks from its range. Hasn't done it yet. There were only rumours about it, nothing confirmed. So Americans are extremely sensitive when it comes to violations of women's rights. Yes, has there been violations of women's rights? Well, potentially suggested, but it's not been an absolute guarantee yet, albeit, yes, it is a serious matter. The female employee has appealed. She has a right to appeal. She has a right to go to the FIA. I think everyone wishes it would be a bit more transparent, but Red Bull don't have to, as you know. So, and it says the case of Red Bull team boss has long since spilled over to Red Bull GmbH. That's the Austrian side, the boss, senior stuff side of stuff. Didi's life work has long started to crack. It's wow, it's over embellishing so much, isn't it? Because power has eaten into the mind. Power has eaten into the mind. I mean, the translation here is not particularly great, but I mean, it would appear that this person has potentially appealed. That seems fairly likely, and they've gone to the FIA, as on potentially more than one occasion, on what is a serious matter. Once again, the problem is this whole thing is transparent. This article, I don't really give it an amazing amount of credence but then I have had to use, it's German, I can't read German that well. I've had to use Google Translate as a result. So a lot of people have shared this on Twitter. I just wanted to share it with you guys to see what you thought and get my thoughts on it, which is, for me, one of the most interesting thing is the Porsche, and whether that was Horner saying, no, I don't want to lose control of the team, which I can almost understand. But it's a shame they couldn't come to some kind of an agreement. Would Dietrich have got rid of Horner? I don't know. They claim insiders would have done. But then there's no quotes on who these insiders are. I kind of understand. Maybe they don't want to be named. But, yeah. An interesting article at the absolute most. But I don't know how much truth is really in it. So, there we go. I said it wouldn't end, these rumours, and it will probably continue over Australia and into it. But I just hope we get a really good Australian Grand Prix. And that is going to be the top of the news in relation to Formula 1. Anyway, if you made it to the end, you are an absolute champ in my eyes. And we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.